Good afternoon po. Please fix your eyes na po sa nasa screen. I know a lot of us probably knows this symbol already. In literature, it is a punctuation mark to stop for a moment and introduce other independent clause. While in life, it symbolizes to keep going rather than stop. But along po with the heart on top, it means to love yourself more and learn to pause for a while and leave every negativity behind. May it be a precious memory or a person once close to you. And once you get there, you'll be introduced to a fresh new start.
Ang didiscuss po namin ngayon ay Module 6 Non-Financial Liabilities. Kung naalala nyo, nakaraang discussion, napahapyawan na ito ng Module 4. Ngayon ay bibigay namin ang further discussions about it.
This will mainly focus on non-financial liabilities kung saan minimeasure lamang po by estimation yung bayad na kailangan para ma-settle yung obligation. Also, we will also discuss about provisions and contingencies. Start na po tayo sa una nating topic, which is premiums liability. Premiums are estimated liability. Itong mga liability po na ito ay isang after-sale transaction kung saan mag-a-arise lang kapag nagkaroon ka na ng benta. Actually, ang mga premiums ay isang marketing strategy lang kung saan bibigyan ka ng item ng isang company in return of coupons, labels, wrappers, or ano pa mang bagay. Kung naaalala nyo, meron din sa mga cereal box kung saan may coupon kang makukuha sa loob in return of a toy once na makumpleto mo. Yung mga item na yon ang tinatawag na premiums. And once na ni-claim na yon ng customer, doon na mag-a-arise ang liability sa company. As an illustration po, para mas maintindihan natin ng mabuti, an entity manufactures a certain product and sold 100,000 boxes for 5 million pesos. Each box contains 2 coupons. Take note na 100,000 boxes yung binenta natin at sa bawat box ay may 2 coupons. Basically, 200 coupons na dinisprint natin, di ba? Next, a toy is offered to customers on the return of 10 coupons plus remittance of 50 pesos. Itong 50 pesos po na to ay yung matatanggap natin sa customer if ever na gusto nilang i-claim yung toy. Once na na-complete na nila yung 10 coupons na required natin. The entity pays 200 pesos per toy in its 20,000 units of toys purchased and 10 pesos for handling and shipping. Basically po lumalabas na 210 pesos yung magiging value ng isang toy. Ang una po nating i-record is yung sales. Magkano ulit natin nabenta yung 100,000 boxes? Diba 5 million po? And to record it, just debit 5 million pesos and credit sales of 5 million pesos. Sunod naman ay i-record natin yung premiums na binili natin. Kasi kailangan yun para may ma-distribute tayo sa customers. Yung 20,000 units na binili natin, i-multiply natin sa 210 pesos. Kasi ayun yung halaga ng bawat laruan And that equals to 4,200,000 pesos. Ayun na yung halaga ng pinurchase nating mga laruan or premiums. Magde-debit tayo ng premiums and credit tayo ng cash. Next naman po is i-record natin kung magkano ang estimated liabilities at the end of reporting period. Para po makompute yung estimated liability, kailangan muna natin alamin kung ilang toys ang estimated na makiklaim. Again, sa 100,000 po na box na nabenta, ay may 2 coupon sa bawat box nun, diba, sa loob. At yung estimation natin is 60% ng coupon ay mare-redeem. Pero kailangan muna ng customer makaipon ng 10 coupons para maklaim yung toy. Kaya kailangan natin yun i-divide. So, ang total estimated toys na madidistribute natin is 12,000. And para po makompute yung net cost siya kasi yung doon sa 210 pesos na value ng per toy natin, kailangan natin itidak yung 50 pesos na matatanggap natin as remittance from the customer. And that equals to 160 pesos for each toy. Ayan na yung bago nating price para sa bawat laruan. And to get the total provision po for the premiums, imumultiply natin yung 12,000 toys sa 160 and that gives us 1,920,000. And to record it, just debit premiums expense and credit premiums liabilities. Paano naman kung may redemption ng involved? Kailangan mo natin alamin kung ilang toys kaya meron sa 40,000 coupons. To get that, just divide 40,000 sa 10. Bakit 10? Kasi ayon sa transaction kanina, kailangan mag-present ni customer ng 10 coupons para makakuha ng isang toy or ng isang premium. And that equals to 4,000 toys na yung madidistribute natin. Next is, kailangan natin i-multiply yung 4,000 toys sa 116 na net cost ng isang laruan. And that equals to 640,000. Just debit premiums expense and credit premiums kasi kailangan natin bawasan yung asset. Pero, ang hinahanap sa transaction is kung magkano yung outstanding premiums liability. Kaya kailangan natin siya i-deduct doon sa previous nating na-compute na estimated premiums liability, which is 1,920,000 pesos. And yung total nila is 1,280,000 pesos. Magdi-debit po tayo ng premium expense and credit premiums liabilities. Cash rebate program. Ito isang uri rin ng premiums offer, kung saan madalas din natin na-encounter, lalo na sa online shopping ngayon. Pero as an example po, kung naalala nyo sa MC noon, kapag nagbabayad tayo tuition ng mas maaga sa nakaschedule na due date sa blue form natin, di ba may nababalik sa ating cash at the end of the semester? Ang tawag doon is cash rebate. Basically po, it is also a form of marketing strategy ng isang entity. Katulad sa premiums, ito isa ring after-sale transaction, kaya kung pansinin nyo sa Shopee, mag-take effect lang yung voucher mo na cashback once na na-order receive mo na yung item. Ang sunod naman po is also aberration of premium offer. Cash discount coupon is also a marketing tool po para mapataas din ang sale ng isang entity. Siguro lahat tayo nakatanggap na ng mga pinamimigay na coupon ng mga crew sa McDo, Jollibee, o iba pang fast food chain, kung saan magkakaroon tayo ng discount once na pinesent natin yun sa cashier. Yung Jolly Hotdog na 55 pesos, pwedeng maging 45 na lang once na pinesent natin yung coupon sa cashier. Yung magiging journal entries natin sa cash discount is actually the same lang sa premium and cash rebate program, kung saan kailangan din i-recognize ang magiging estimated coupon liability. For my last topic po, i-discuss ko ang customer loyalty program. Ito naman yung mga points or rewards na nakukuha natin for availing a certain product. As an example, yung SM Advantage Card, once na present mo yon upon your purchase, magkakaroon yun ng kalakip na points na nakabase sa terms and condition ng card mo. Tinatawag itong customer loyalty program dahil sa pag-patronage mo sa kanila, aawardan kanila ng goods or service. Ang magiging measurement naman po dito ay magiging separate. Ang sabi po dito, the transaction price to each performance obligation identified in a contract on a relative standalone selling price basis. Para po mas madaling maintindihan, sa worth 500 pesos na binili ko, sa point of view ng SM, yung value talaga ng bag na binibenta nila, let's say, 450 pesos lang. Ayun yung tinatawag na standalone selling price. Ayun yung mismong presyo ng isang produkto na walang kahit anong patong. Habang yung 50 pesos na dagdag ay para lang sa point na allocated para sa customer loyalty program. Ang award credits or yung points ay i-recognize muna as deferred revenue. Example, may naipon na akong 1,000 points sa SM Advantage card ko. As long as di ko pa siya ni-present for redemption, mag-i-stay siyang unearned sa part ng SM. Meron ding tinatawag na estimated redemption rates. Ito yung ina-assess each period. Included na doon yung changes sa kabuuang bilang ng inaasahang mare-redeem.
Warranty. So, ang warranty daw ay isang uri ng guarantee na ginagawa ng mga manufacturer sa certain product na binili mo. So, for example, is bumili ka ng cellphone. At the moment of your purchase, may kasama na siyang warranty. So, pag sinabi nating warranty, it is a free repair service or replacement during a specific period of time. So, for example, yung binili mong cellphone is may 2 to 3 months warranty. So, pag yung cellphone na yon is nasira within those months, ay pwede mo siyang ibalik dun sa manufacturer or dun sa store na pinagbilhan mo and may obligation sila na gawin kung ano man yung sira ng phone mo. Pero, pagka lumagpas ka dun sa sinabi or dun sa 2 to 3 months time na warranty, ay wala na silang pananagutan or hindi na nila gagawin yung cellphone mo. Dahil kapag napatunayan na highly defective yung product na binenta mo or na binigay mo sa customer and yung customer is nag-request for a refund, you have no choice but to give back his or her money. So, ito lang daw yung mga conditions na pasok para sa recognition of warranty. So, first is the entity has a present obligation, legal or constructive, as a result of a past event. Second, it is probable that an outflow of a resources embodying economic benefits would be required to settle the obligation. And the third one is the amount of the obligation can be measured reliably. So, first is the past event. So, ito yung araw na binili mo yung product. So, sabi ko nga kanina, the day of your purchase or yung mismong araw na binili mo yung product na yun is automatically may warranty na siya, which given rise to constructive obligation to the seller. So, the second one is the probable outflow resources. So, it means that the settlement of an obligation is probable, not possible. Meaning, may reasonable certainty na maglalabas ka talaga ng economic resources para lang masettle mo yung obligation mo dun sa customer. And third is the reliable estimate. So, dapat alam mo lang kung magkano yung product at kung magkano lang yung dapat mong ilabas na pera para masettle yung obligation kung sakaling mapatunayan na highly defective talaga yung product. So, for example, bumili nga siya ng cellphone. Tapos, napatunayan na highly defective talaga yung cellphone na yon. And si customer is nag-request siya for refund. Pero, ang nire-request niyang halaga for refund is kasing presyo ng isang bagong refrigerator. So, hindi pwede yon. So, as a seller, kailangan alam mo kung ano lang yung best estimated na amount para dun sa product na yon and para masettle mo yung obligation. Accounting for warranty. So, there are two approaches in recording warranty expenses. The first one is the accrual approach and the second one is the expense as incurred approach. The first approach is the accrual approach. So, itong accrual approach, ito yung malimit or madalang na gamitin kasi faithful siya sa matching principle. So, dito sa accrual approach, is nag-recognize ka na agad or nag-assume ka na agad ng estimated repairs or estimated na customer na babalik sa'yo para magpagawa or magpa-repair. And at the time na nag-estimate ka na ng mga customer na babalik sa'yo for repairs, you have to debit warranty expense and then credit estimated warranty liability. Ibig sabihin lang neto ay pag nag-recognize ka na ng liability, kahit wala ka pang nagagastos, is mag-e-expense and magde-debit ka na ng warranty expense. So, mas mai-explain at mas maiintindihan nyo to dito sa sample illustration. So, sabi dito sa illustration, yung entity daw ay nagbenta ng 1,000 units of television set at 9,000 each for cash. Bawat isang set ay may warranty na tagi-isang taon. And yung entity ay nag-come up na sa estimated warranty cost based from past experiences. And that set cost will be 500 pesos per unit set. And 60% lang daw ng mga nabenta ang estimated nila na ibabalik for repairs. The entity incurs 180,000 for repairs during the year. The journal entries will be, first is to record the sale, which will be recorded as debit cash 9 million and credit sales 9 million. So kung tatanungin nyo kung bakit naging 9 million or saan nanggaling yung 9 million, it is from the 9,000 pesos for each television set times the 1,000 units of television. So the second journal entry is ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina about sa estimated liability. It is to set up the estimated liability on the warranty which will be recorded as debit warranty expense 300,000 and credit estimated warranty liability for 300,000. So paano naging 300,000? Diba, sabi sa illustration, ang estimated sets na ibabalik for repairs is 60% of the units sold. So 60% times 1,000 units of television set is equals to 600 sets, which is to be multiplied by the estimated warranty cost na 500 per unit. So 600 times 500 is equals to 300,000. And lastly, to record the payment of the actual cost, we will debit the estimate warranty liability amounting to 180,000 and credit cash 180,000. Take note na ang magre-reflect na amount ng estimated warranty liability sa balance sheet at the end of the year is 120,000 pesos only, from the estimated liability on the warranty amounting to 300,000 minus the payment of the actual cost amounting to 180,000.
Accounting for warranty. Expenses incurred approach. Expense warranty costs only when actually incurred. In this approach, the entity only recognizes warranty expense when there is actual claim from the customer. Ibig sabihin, mare-recognize lang yun kapag may nangyari na talaga. Kung yung product ay kailangan i-repair, palitan, or i-refund. Illustration. An entity sells refrigerators that carry a 2-year warranty against defects. The sales and warranty repairs are made evenly throughout the year. Based on the past experience, the entity projects an estimated warranty cost as percentage of sales as follows. First year of warranty, 4%, second year of warranty, 10%. Take note that the total warranty expense each year is 14% to be incurred. 2020 sales, 5 million. Actual warranty repairs, 140,000. 2021 sales, 6 million. Actual warranty repairs, 300,000. Ang 140,000 at 300,000 ayon ang estimation ng entity. Journal entries 2020. 1. To record the sales. Debit cash, 5 million. Credit sales, 5 million. To record the warranty expense. Warranty expense, cost associated with a defective product na kailangan i-repair, palitan, or i-refund ng isang entity. Paano kunin ang warranty expense? 14% times 5 million equals 700,000. Debit warranty expense, 700,000. Credit warranty liability, 700,000. 3. To record the actual warranty repairs. Debit estimated warranty liability, 140,000. Credit cash, 140,000. Journal entries 2021. Same lang din sila ng entries ni 2021. Kaso, ang pagkakaiba lang nila yung amount. At this point, on December 31, 2021, the estimated warranty liability is 1,100,000. Nakuha iyon dahil pinag-minus ang warranty expense at actual warranty repairs. Total of 1,100,000. Sa next variation ng pag-sold ng second year warranty ay ang sales made evenly. We assume that sales or warranty expense is spread out throughout the years. Ibig sabihin, mayroon tong 2 batches ng buyer. First batch is the beginning of the year, January 1, 2020 to December 31, 2020. Ito yung first year warranty. Second year warranty from January 1 to December 31, 2021. Yung isang batch naman ng buyer, binili nila nung second half of the year. Kasi, di ba, pag bumibili tayo ng appliance, hindi palagi sa umpisa ng taon. It is made evenly throughout the years. Ibig sabihin, pinaghati sa dalawang batch. Yung second batch naman ng buyer, yung kanilang warranty from July 1, 2020 to June 30, 2021. Yun yung first year warranty. Yung second year warranty nila from July 1, 2021 to June 30, 2022. Warranty expense related to 2020 sales. First contract year of January 1, 2020 sales. 2,500,000 times 4% equals 100,000. First contract year of July 1, 2020 sales. Yung second batch ng buyer from July 1, 2020 to December 31, 2020. Kalahating taon lang. Kaya 2,500,000 times 4% times 6 over 12 equals 50,000. Kung papansin ninyo, nabuo yung 100,000 noong 2020 dahil yun yung first year warranty ng second batch ng buyer. Second contract year of January 1, 2020 sales. 2,500,000 times 10% equals 250,000. Yung 10%, yun yung second year warranty. Kanina kasi, pinag-add natin. Parang isang bagsakan lang. kaya naging 14%. Pero dito, magkahiwalay kada taon. Second contract year of July 1, 2020, sales 2,500,000 times 10% times 6 over 12 equals 125. Dito, kalahati lang ulit. Pero makukuha niya yung second year warranty pag 2020. Total warranty expense for 2020, 700,000. Warranty expense related to 2021 sales. Same process lang sila ni 2020. Pero yung second batch na bumili siya ng second half of the year mag-e-end or makukuha niya buong buo pagka 2023. Total warranty expense for 2021, 840,000. Sale of warranty. Ito yung parang tatanungin ka kung gusto mo ipa-warranty. Ito yung parang binibenta yung warranty para maging insurance. Kunwari, yung warranty mo is 1 year tapos binigyan ka ng offer na i-extend yung warranty. Pero, yung warranty na yun, pabayaran mo sa kanya. Asay, iyon na yun kung i-avail mo or hindi. For example, bumili ka ng appliances. Tapos, yung warranty na yun, and then, nag-avail ka pa ng isang warranty, isi-separate yun sa pag-record para makita rin dahil may additional cost na yun, kaya dapat isi-separate yung pag-record.
Provisions, it is an existing liability of uncertain timing or uncertain amount. So, under in provision is the estimated liability, that both of them have an equivalent essence of uncertainty. So, walang kasiguraduhan kung kailan ang time or date ng pagbabayad or amount na ibabayad, and as well as kung sino ang pagbabayaran ng liability or obligations. So, more on estimate pa lang ng company ang magiging obligation dahil mangyayari pa lang ito in the near future. So, the entity will be ready in case it will happen. So, for example, notes payable, a financial liabilities that is certain on amount and period of payment, versus the provision liabilities, a non-financial liabilities, uncertain in amount and timing. So, we have a question here. It is really fine to use estimate in measuring provisions? The answer is yes, because according to the Intermediate Accounting Standard 37, paragraph 25, the use of estimates is an essential part of the preparation of financial statements and does not undermine their reliability. So, we can use estimates in measuring provisions. So, to recognize provision, again, dapat an entity has present obligation na resulta ng past event. This present obligation may be legal obligation or constructive obligation. Legal obligation arises from contract, legislation, or other operation of law. So, dito, ang entity is required to do or pay something because his obligation is under legal terms. Sa constructive obligation naman, acceptance of certain responsibilities and created valid expectation. So, dito, yung entity is gumagawa ng isang bagay na makatutulong sa company, pati na rin sa customers, in his will, and take the full responsibilities. Like for example, the business has a long-standing policy of allowing customers to return merchandise within a 30-day period. Past event. The past event leads to the present obligation is called obligating event. So, obligating event is yung mga pangyayari sa past na nagiging dahilan kung bakit nagkakaroon ng legal or constructive obligation ang isang entity. Hindi pwedeng mag-estimate na magiging liability na nakabase sa future event. So, the event must be already occurred which gives rise to the legal or constructive obligation. Probable outflow of economic benefit. Also, to recognize provision, hindi lang ang pagkakaroon ng present obligation ang ikinukonsider, but also a probable outflow of resources. So, dito para malaman kung probable ba na maglalabas tayo ng economic resources para mapunan ang obligation. So, there is a percentage on outflow of economic benefit. First, kapag nag-estimate tayo na ang event is 50% or more likely to occur, then it is regarded as probable. So, we will be recognize the liability or obligation. Second, if we estimate that the event is 50% or less na mangyayari, then it is regarded as possible. And third is regarded as remote, if 10% or less ang chance na mangyayari yung event.
So, next naman po is yung other measurement consideration. The following items are taken into consideration in recognizing and measuring a provision. So, we have 9 here, and the first is risk and uncertainties. So, the risk and uncertainties that inevitably surround events and circumstances taken shall be into account. So, sa risk kasi, maaaring mabago yung outcome niya. Dito kasi, kailangan makapagdesisyon maigi para yung income at asset mo ay hindi overstated at yung expenses at liabilities mo naman ay hindi understated. Sa uncertainty naman, hindi gine-justify dito yung paglikha ng labis na provision. O let's say, sinasadyang overstatement sa mga liabilities. So next is value of obligation, where the effect of the time value of money is material. The amount of provision shall be the present value of the expenditure expected to settle the obligation. Dito na pumapasok si discount rate. Ito yung interest percentage that an investment may yield over its lifetime. Ang discount rate na dapat ay pre-tax ay magre-reflect sa current market assessment ng time value of money at risk specific dun sa liability. Pero hindi naman ito pwedeng mag-reflect sa risk kapag yung cash flow estimates ay na-adjust na. So, next is future events. Ito naman ay nakakaapekto sa amount na provision dahil may sapat na batayan ito para mangyari. Dito na pumapasok yung mga future events like yung pag-improve ng technology at yung new legislation. So, next naman is expected disposal of assets. Ito naman ay dapat hindi makaapekto sa pagme-measure ng provision. Ang entity ay dapat na na-recognize ito as gain once na napagbili na yung asset. So, dapat iti-treat natin separately ang disposal sa pagme-measure ng provision sa cash inflows. So, next naman is reimbursement. Yung expenditure ay required na isettle yung provision na i-reimburse naman ng another party. I-recognize lang ito kapag halos tiyak na ang reimbursement na na-receive kung ang entity ay naayos na ang obligation. Ito ay dapat i-treat as separate asset at not netted kumpara sa na-estimate na liability para sa provision. Hindi din dapat lalagpas ang amount ng reimbursement sa amount ng provision. Subalit sa income statement, yung expenses related sa provision ay lalabas as net ng reimbursement. So next is change in provision. So marapat na ma-review ang provision sa every end ng reporting period at i-adjust para ma-reflect sa current best estimate. Dapat din na ito ay ma-reverse kapag hindi na ito maaari mangyari na isang outflow na economic benefits ay i-require na isettle obligation. Kapag naman ang discounting naman ang ginamit, ang kasalukuyang amount ng provision ay madadagdagan each period sa pagre-reflect sa paglipas ng panahon. So, next is use of provision. Ang provision ay gagamitin lamang sa mga expenditures na originally na-recognize. Kapag ang expenditure ay na-charge against sa provision na originally recognized, para sa ibang purpose, maaaring ikinubli ang impact nito sa dalawang magkaibang events. Ito ay maaaring distorting the financial performance o kaya ay constituting financial performance fraud. So next is future operating losses. Ang provision sa mga operating losses ay hindi nire-recognize dahil ang past event na nag-create ng present obligation ay hindi nangyari. Subalit, ang future expectation sa future operating losses ay indication na ang certain asset ay maaaring damage. Para sa mga ganitong sitwasyon, kinakailangan ang impairment test para makasigurado na walang damage ang asset. So last ay yung onerous contract. Ang onerous contract ay isang agreement na nag-o-offer ng more costs kaysa sa benefits sa isang party. For example, ang onerous contracts ay kinakailangang isama sa liability sa isang business dahil nagre-reflect sila bilang expenses na kailangang mabayaran. Itong statements na ito ay maaaring mag-include ng notes to discuss kung anong type ng contract at situation.
Examples of provision. However, kailangan yung tandaan na these are all probable based on its best estimation. Number 1, warranties. It is a form of guarantee sa customer na papalitan o aayusin yung product nila within specific period. For example, may isang company na nagbebenta ng appliances. Kasama sa binebenta ang warranty kasi may possibility na may defect ang product. So, hindi natin alam if mabibili ba yun ng customer. Kasi di tayo sure if magkakaproblema yung product na binili niya. Pero ang kailangang ma-assure ay kapag in-avail ng customer ang warranty, na isama na natin yon sa provision. Number 2, environmental contamination is the result of irrational use of resources at the wrong time. Halimbawa, ang business natin ay oil company at malapit lang talaga tayo sa dagat. Basically, sa nature ng business natin, may possibility na dahil sa atin magkaroon ng oil leak, lalo na kung hindi tayo maingat. Whether nag-iingat tayo o hindi, kailangan nating isama sa provision ang possibility na makasira tayo ng environment. Kapag nangyari yun, makakarating yun sa DENR at legal responsibility natin na mag-clean up nun. So, magkakaroon tayo ng future expenses at parang malayo pa lang yung event na yun, makakapag-prepare na tayo. Kailangan maisama natin yun sa provision. Number 3, decommissioning or abandonment cost. It is about the future scenario ng business na ino-offer if yung venture is meant to be breakdown in the future. Kapag end ng life ng ating business, meaning, kapag isasara na natin ang business natin, hindi pwedeng basta na lang natin pabayaan yung business site natin. Kasi pwedeng magka-oil leak, pwedeng bumaho yung area, pwedeng maireklamo. So, kahit yung business natin ay going concern pa naman, meaning tuloy-tuloy pa naman ang transaction, sasama pa rin natin sa provision ang liability natin na masecure ang site once na hininto na natin ang business. Number 4, court case. A dispute between two parties that decided in a court of law. Kahit na hindi pa tapos ang court trials, dapat i-recognize na natin yung future liability natin. Lastly, guarantee. Kapag sinabi kasi na guarantee, may third party sa relationship relating obligation to pay. Kapag si borrower hindi nakabayad as guarantor, obligation niyang bayaran ng portion or lahat ng amount ng debt ni borrower. Halimbawa, tayo ang guarantor ng isang business entity. Tapos itong si business entity or borrower ay umutang sa isa pang entity pero nagsabi at nag-file ng bankruptcy si borrower, meaning nalulugi na sila at walang capacity si borrower na magbayad dun sa inutangan niya. As a guarantor, responsibility natin na bayaran ang pinagkakautangan ni borrower. So, dapat isama natin sa provision yon based din sa nature ng business natin. Restructuring. Program that is planned and controlled by management and materially changes either the scope of business or the manner in which that business is conducted. Ito ay isang uri ng plano kung saan kontrolado ng management pero pwedeng may pangyayari na magbago sa scope ng business or kung saan ito conducted. Tapos po, may mga events na pwedeng i-consider as restructuring such as sales or pagdeterminate ng business, pagbabago ng management or lugar ng business, at pag-aayos ng entity na pwede magkaroon ng impact sa operation. Provision for restructuring. A constructive obligation for restructuring arises when two conditions are present. Number 1, entity has a detailed formal plan. Yung business ay pwedeng magkaroon ng pagbabago sa operation. Yung location ay pwedeng maapektuhan. Dapat mag-fit sa dami ng empleyado kasi kung sakaling sobra, kailangan magtanggal. Number 2, entity raise valid expectation. Ang entity po kung saan ay magsasagawa ng pagbabago sa pamamagitan ng pag-implement ng plano at pag-announce ng main features to those affected by it.
Contingent liability.
Ito yung possible obligation na pwedeng mangyari in the present or future due to the past event. Example niyan yung mga potential lawsuits or product warranties. So, if the amount can be estimated, the company set aside that amount separately to be paid out when the liability arises. A contingent liability is recorded when it can be estimated, else it should be disclosed. Contingent liability and provisions. If the present obligation is probable and the amount can be measured reliably, the obligation is not a contingent liability but shall be recognized as a provision. So if the obligation is not probable, the item is treated as contingent liability. A provision is measured at the amount that the entity would rationally pay to settle the obligation. So in addition, contingent liabilities hindi siya nire-record sa financial statement ng kumpanya. Kasi yung mga obligations hindi pa naman nangyari pero may possibility pa lang na mangyari. However, considering that we follow a conservative approach to accounting, we must follow the practice of the disclosure. In other words, a contingent liability shall not be recognized in the financial statement but shall be disclosed only. Contingent asset. A contingent asset is a possible asset in the future due to past event, which may give some income in the company. For example, if there is a litigation and we expect to win the case, the company will get some compensation. If we anticipate income, we do not recognize them until it is actually realized. Contingent asset does not have to be disclosed in financial statement. When the realization of income is certain, it wouldn't be classified as contingent asset but an asset. If the probability of inflow or resources is lower than 50%, entities do not provide any disclosure kasi treated sila as possible or remote na na-discuss ni Umali kanina. Decommissioning liability. So, yung decommissioning liability, ito yung costs, charges, expenses, liabilities, or obligation na magagastos in abandoning any asset property. Isa sa causes ng decommissioning is yung pagkatapos ng useful life ng property na yon.
For the summary of our topic, premiums, cash rebate, cash discount coupon, and customer loyalty program, all kinds of estimated liabilities, they are all marketing strategy of one's entity that will happen in the future. So, the entity do an estimate measurement to make sure that they can settle the obligation. And also warranties, other kind of an estimate liabilities that has two types for accounting. Then again, provision, an existing liability of uncertain timing or uncertain amount and as well as uncertain pay. To recognize provision, there's a conditions that will need to met. The amount of the obligation can be measured reliably. The reliable estimation on measurement is the best way to do. And last, we discussed the examples of provision, which are warranties, restructuring liability, decommissioning liability, contingent liability, court case, and guarantee. So that's all. Thank you and have a good day.